Well, good morning. Guys, grab a seat, grab a seat. We're going to get started with today's edition of 1 Million Cups. So welcome to 1 Million Cups. How many people, this is their first time here today? Wonderful, welcome. And who would consider themselves to be an entrepreneur? Even better. Guys, we're so happy to have everyone here today. We have two great presenters that are going to present, but just a little bit about what 1 Million Cups is. You know, we are a free weekly national educational program. You know, you can read that, designed to educate entrepreneurs. And we really think that, like, our purpose is to grow the entrepreneurial community in Springfield, and I think we're succeeding in doing that. And so thank you for being here. The organizers that make all this possible, we have lots of people to thank, and if I miss you, I am sorry. But, of course, we have Philip Baird, Craig Jameson, Jennifer DeCamp, Deb Bellotti, and myself that pull this thing off somehow every week. And so we're so glad to serve you guys that way. Of course, our sponsors we want to thank every day is Brick and Mortar. We guys provide the coffee for the community room. Thank you. Do you guys like the coffee this morning? Good. That's our the Art of Entrepreneurship blend. It is a Sumatra Columbia blend, and I hope you like it. So, Database Systems provides the computers every Wednesday. The Springfield Art Museum, of course, we could not do this without them. They provide this amazing space where we have almost like a TED Talk kind of thing going on here, which I like. And then Spark Events, Bryce over here running our show. He gets here about 7 a.m. Every Wednesday to make sure everything is good to go, and they pull off an amazing show every time. So. The ways to connect, you know, we obviously have the Twitter feed going over here, so throughout the presentation, if you want to tweet your questions, tweet your comments, hashtag is 1MCSGF or hashtag Art of Entrepreneurship, and then tag 1 Million Cups SGF, and then the other ways to connect. Of note, the 1 Million Cups SGF refill station is our new blog where you can find out more information about, like, how is a presenter doing now it's been 6 months, 8 months later. So it's a good way to keep in touch on the entrepreneur community. Nathan, you're heading that up, so if you ever have any questions about the blog or want to be involved in that, talk to that guy right there. Looking cool, drinking coffee. So 2 great presenters today. We have Questledge, and the city of Springfield is going to present an interesting loan opportunity I think that you guys will be very intrigued by. So with that, I'm going to like to introduce Debbie from Questledge. Give her a round of applause, guys. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Cool. All right, my name is Debbie, and my slides have just gone way past where I started at. Okay, my name is Debbie. I'm the creator and owner of Questledge, and we got that name from the phrase quest for knowledge. Our questers choose a game in our repertoire, and with a bit of brain power, sometimes a hint or two from me, they solve their way through a few roadblocks, a few puzzles, brain teasers, riddles, and then we do have a few secrets hidden in our building. See if my slide will advance. A typical quest takes about an hour to get through. However, I have seen some perfectly intelligent adults take over 2 hours to get through some of our games. I think they're doing a little overthinking. Most of our questers are just regular folk, families, schools, college kids, people on dates, whatever. But I think the main idea of most of them is they just want to accomplish a goal. Everybody likes to feel like they've made their way through something, and we give them that opportunity when they come into our facility. These are just a few more pictures of some of the people that have been in there. This is one of a group that has come through. They're a dental hygienist group that came in one afternoon. We have a bunch of themed areas in our facility. What we do with those is send people on a quest or an adventure or whatever. They have to follow riddles and clues to get through all of that. But we're different in, like, our main competition is the lock-in rooms or escape rooms, if you're familiar with those. We don't lock anybody in. We don't time them for their games. If you and your family or friends come in and play a game with us, one of you can take your time and go look for Mayan symbols, Native American symbols, and Mayan numbers. Someone else in your group can figure out history of the Ozarks And one of the fun things that we have in one of our games is finding out that the Bald Knobbers are not just a comedy act down on the strip, but indeed they were a vigilante group. And so we kind of give information like that along the way. Like I said, our closest competition is the escape rooms, lock-in rooms, or smart rooms. You know, like I said, you take your friends, you go lock yourself up in a room and try to figure out how to get out in an hour. And I'm not really sure what happens to you if you don't make it out. Our pricing is considerably less than those lock-in rooms. We chose to make our pricing more in the price range of like the trampoline parks, the jump houses, what are they called, bounce houses, or even the paintball. We want our customers to consider us as a place that they can go to any day of the week, not an event that they have to plan to go to. We also have the opportunity to change up our games. Most of our competitors cannot change their games until they change their whole entire room. We try to introduce a new game once a week, once every other week, somewhere around in that. I make all the games myself. Our newest game, and we just had fun with this one last night, is our Murder Mystery Nights. You come out, you get to pick a character and search for the clues and figure out, pretty much like the game Clue, figure out who did it with what and which room they did it in. We had really great feedback for that last night. We're going to do it once a month. We're also going to develop a game. I say we. When I say that, I mean me. We're going to develop a smaller game, scaled down, so that we can do that every day of the week, not just once a month, because it's very popular and fun. We have been invited already to start a second location at the Smallland Civil War Cave. That takes an hour to get through their their cave tours, and they're looking for something for somebody else to kind of keep their customers busy while they're waiting for their tour. So they asked us to come out there. They have a building ready for us. We just need to get in there and get it fixed up and get started out there. Most of our advertising that I do right now comes through social media. We've got Groupons going on in Facebook, and I am extremely proud to say we've only been open for a few months, but every single review that we've gotten on any of our social media is 5 stars. Thank you. So, I don't know if that's going to slide up there or not. So I do have challenges. Basically, income. Right now, we are not meeting our basic income needs for our rent, utilities, and the basics. Luckily, we have a little stash of cash set in the background for that we kind of dip into every so often. Other challenges, branding, who we are and what we do. Nobody knows what Questledge stands for, what it's for, what you're going to do when you walk in the door to our facility. A small advertising budget, which kind of plays into that, nobody knowing what we are doing, because I just don't have the budget to do that. And then mentorship or a sounding board. I personally, like I said, do everything myself, and so I don't have anyone to kind of strategize with and talk games through or marketing strategies, that kind of thing. This is my information. I'll leave it on the screen later when I'm done. I've got a few more slides to go through. Basically, I've got a website, phone number. We're on Facebook, Yelp, and Groupon. And let's see if that slide's going to go. Hello. There you go. So the reason I'm here, I need things. Income, I need ways to help me figure out how to generate the income, how to stay top of mind on people's, thoughts and processes, and when they're going to do something, they find me and not a competitor. Branding, again, who I am, what we do. I'm looking for a tagline. I'm looking for some way to, people to hear my information and go, yeah, I know who they are, and that's a fun place to go. Oops, jump through that one. Small advertising budget, what to spend it on, when and where, who can help me figure all that out, who can walk me through those steps, and having a mentor, sounding board, someone who can strategically help me with all that. Like I said, I make all the games myself. I don't have anyone that can go through those games before I make them public. I know all the answers, so I can't really go through them myself. And I have my mom. My mom helps me a lot. I have my family. But they work, they're busy, and I think actually they think I am so awesome that everything just comes from me and works perfectly. So there is no need for them to come, check me. So this is my information, and this is the things that I'm here in need of.
Let's give her a hand. The way this works, if this is the first time that you've come, is the presenter presents 6 to 8 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of question and answers. If you have thoughts or ideas, feel free to raise your hand up. We'll come over to you. Jonathan will point out which person is going to get to ask the question next. First, I want to say every startup needs a little bit of encouragement. So, Debbie, thank you very much for being a trailblazer. You're bringing an idea in that's relatively new. I know there's some walk-in rooms. But you're doing something that's relatively new for this area and
Yes.
changing kind of a paradigm and a mindset. So thank you very much. And thank you for being so candid about what you're doing and the struggles you're facing. Let's go to question and answers.
Okay.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm nervous. Thank you.
You wouldn't know it, you did well.
Thank you.
I sound like a combination between Barry White and Bill Clinton, sorry, but that's allergies. Couple things for you. Again, excellent presentations, you don't need to be nervous, you're awesome. But have you thought about, and I'd like to know a little more about your marketing, and perhaps I can just help you. I always like to try to offer to help people just for a couple, 2 or 3 hours, try to give them some basic stuff. But if you'd like, you need to maybe get involved with some maybe church groups. A lot of people are looking for new, cool things to do, anything to do with youth. So if you can maybe look at that avenue, and if not, again, I can help you get some things kick-started, but I'd be curious, what have you done in that respect as far as any kind of marketing like that?
Right, I do. I have been looking at the homeschool groups. We have had a few homeschool groups come out and do some events. I am looking, I've had church groups come out. We are getting into the field trip schedule for people. So people are calling us for field trips, and so we are filling our calendar up with those. One of the things that I failed to mention here is we're not meeting our basic needs at this point, but our basic is pretty minimal. Since I'm not selling a product, it's just stuff that I come up with. My rent, utilities, and insurance and stuff is my big point. But I have kind of layered that down to 2 birthday parties, 1 small group, which is about 20 kids, and 2 families a day would meet my basic income. And so to me, that's a goal that's easily obtainable as soon as summer hits.
Your second presenter might be able to help you out too.
Maybe so, yeah.
Good morning, Debbie. My name is Michael Hansen.
Hello.
I have a couple things. One, I would like to see a video of these challenges because I have no idea how big the space is, and
Okay.
even if you told me the square footage, it wouldn't mean anything to me.
Right.
Plus, I think that would get shared a lot on Facebook. Look at what you can do in Springfield. I think that would be very popular. And the other thing is, for adult students, for college students, basically, do you offer any kind of discount, or do they just have to pay the adult rate?
Yes, and I do some videos, and I put them out on my YouTube. So I do try to link them into my Facebook, or I put them on my website. Again, website was created by me too, so keeping that up current is just another one of those hats that we put on. But I do have a few videos. I did have somebody come through once with a GoPro, and they swore to me they would send that to me, but I have not seen that yet. So I think maybe they were one of those people that took a little bit longer than they anticipated and aren't so proud of their accomplishment. But your other point, now I forgot what your other point was. Discounts. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Groupon is my big discount right now, and people find me there. That's what I get most of my customers from right now. I also have a I hope you return incentive. We make a lanyard with a bead on it, and each time you complete a game, you earn a bead, and when you spell Questledge on your lanyard, which becomes your keychain, by the way, then that's your 50% off for future games. So that's kind of one of our incentives to get people to come back, and it seems to be working. It's like one of those punch cards for a coffee cup. Yes.
Hi, Debbie. My name's Tony Lewis, and one of the slides, something that really caught my eye is the one that you had your prices, and then I saw 2 guns in the top right-hand corner. Kind of tell me, are those paintball guns? Like, how how are you incorporating
Just-
that with your business?
Yeah, we don't have paintball guns. It's just a comparison of a business that is in the same price range that I am. So, like I said, the escape rooms, if you want to go do one of those rooms, you're going to be starting out at $22 a person to go get locked in a room for an hour. I didn't want to be that high and expensive, so we dropped it down to jump houses, trampoline parks, and paintballs. So that's where the guns come into play. They're just a comparable business with us.
Hi, Debbie, Darren Edson. Great job. This looks like a great place. I can't wait to get down there and try it. I wanted to see, have you reached out to businesses in the community about doing team building, having team building excursions down there?
I have not. I mean, that is something that I want to do. And like I said, I have had a few businesses just find me and come in, but I have not had the time opportunity to go out and market that part yet.
Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
2 questions. 1, what is your physical location? And 2, do you have programs that are good for like families, from kids up to adults, that would be fun for everybody, but yet not too hard? And
Yes.
you could bring a family, like for a family reunion or something like that.
Right. Yes. My physical location is on the northwest corner of Highway 65 and CC in Ozark. So Lambert's is on the southeast corner. I am on the northwest corner. So I'm diagonal across from them, across from the James River Church, in what used to be the Branson Ticket Center. So we're first building right there, highway visibility. Second, yes, I have games for all levels. I have games that your preschooler can take a set of picture cards, walk by themselves through our entire facility, which is, I think, 2,500 square feet, and go play the game all by themselves, finding puzzles where the picture shows them. So all they have to do is locate that picture and find the puzzle in there, and they put together their own little puzzle. So that is for our littlest people who can't read. All the way up to, like I said, the most difficult games are and they are reservable, our most difficult ones. Clue by clue by clue, you have to figure out one to get to the next. And usually you're trying to figure out a lock at the end to open. So, and family reunions we can do if that's not a huge group. The city has limited me to 49 people in my building at one time. So I think I'm number one. I think they count me as that. So I think they let 50.
Hi, Debbie. Hey,
Hi.
my name's Mark. Hey, 2 questions. First off, are you busy enough to where that a couple could just show up and play?
We are, that's kind of a backwards question. We are not busy enough, and so couples can come in and just play.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Well, okay.
But I do have games that, like my my most difficult games, I can only have one group play at a time. So that's why I'm trying to make more and more of those, the difficult ones. But I have other ones that multiple people can play at the same time without interfering with each other. So I have enough games that can keep everybody busy. And on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon, we do get good crowds in there. And
Okay.
we do have a lot of mingling going on.
And then I'm wondering about your pricing. And I know you have to be comparable, but I don't think you need to concentrate a whole lot on being less. I think you just need to be right in there.
Right?
And that's just my comment.
So are you thinking that the pricing is too low, too high?
Maybe it may be too low.
Okay.
You need to find that out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, nice job this morning, so don't feel
Thank
nervous
you.
at all. A couple of things. One, what are your hours of operation? And secondly, what is your background that possessed you to get into this?
Good question. Who comes up with a crazy idea? Our hours, we're closed on Mondays. We're open every other day. We open at 10 on weekdays and 10 to 6 Tuesday through Thursday. We're open till 9 on Friday and Saturday, and Sunday noon to 6. I'm just come from a creative family. We have 18 grandchildren in our family, And so finding something for all of them to do was becoming a challenge. So I thought, well, I'll just make myself someplace that they can come and, give their families something to do. And if our families like to do this kind of thing, then I'm sure other families would enjoy the same thing. So just craziness, that's all.
So Debbie, why Springfield, not Branson?
I didn't want to drive every day to Branson. My original thought process when I started thinking about this was 10 years ago. My now 16-year-old son was 5, and my next youngest son was 15. And we went to the Wisconsin Dells, and there's a place up there called Wizard's Quest. And it's very similar to what I do. It's much more professionally put together than mine is. But we had a blast, all of us with the different ages, the different, things going on in our life. A 5-year-old boy, a 15-year-old boy, and an old lady. But we all had a good time. And so I brought that thought back down here and checked their website, and they kept saying they wanted to franchise, and they never would. And so I finally asked them, are you guys ever going to franchise? And they said, no, we've decided not to. So I kind of ribbed them a little bit and said, you're really missing out on the Branson market because you guys would really be good down here. And they said, nope, we're not going to. And so I figured, well, if they're not going to and nobody else has in 10 years, I would. So that's how we got to here. And yeah, I live right between Ozark and Rogersville. I looked in Springfield. Big challenge with getting a location in Springfield. They want you to sign your life away to get a lease, even a brand new building. And I have an LLC. Government granted me that privilege, so I didn't have to be afraid that my whole life would go down the tubes if my business did too. But the property owners in Springfield don't like that. So even if you have an LLC, you still have to sign a personal guarantee that you will pay every cent that you owe them. And I wasn't going to do that. I was given an LLC for a reason, and I want to stick with that. So I found a location that would accept that, which happened to be a single landowner out in Branson, or in Ozark. So
I have a question going back to team building, because as a business owner, I think we're always looking for good, affordable team building ideas that are unique. Is there any capability to take what you're doing on site to a business?
yes, there is. Most of my games are clue related, so just taking a stack of my clues and go putting them in locations and coming up with, it's kind of like scavenger hunting. It's simple to do, but the clues make you think. There's brain teasers, puzzles, riddles, that kind of thing, make you work together to get to the end, and it is easily transportable. I can even go take props and set things up in a facility. We've done that in the past before we got our location.
Do you have a general price range of what that would cost to do like a half-day team building?
I don't have it really set out yet since we've gotten into the new facility and everything. I haven't gone to team building prices. I do have group prices for 12, 20, and that kind of thing, but not the big groups yet.
So Debbie, we always ask this question, what can we as a community do for you to help you get where you need to go?
I think just help me get my name out there for one, and like I said, nobody knows what Questledge means or does, and getting the idea and the concept out there. We're not just a new business, it's a new concept. I'm not aware of anybody else doing what I do anywhere. So, we just kind of need some help getting the ball rolling in that regard. And I think after that, I think we'll do pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, announcements time. We have another awesome presenter coming up here, but before we introduce them, we always do announcements here from sponsors and community partners. We're also going to get some background music pumping in here to get some energy going. So you guys are going to know some events that are coming up like this weekend, so pay attention to those. We have the Missouri State Small Business and Technology Development Center's Big Data event coming up April 21st. And then they have a Starting a Business in Missouri program also, which is no charge, coming up April 28th. Be sure to check them out. The URL's down there at the bottom. Conference on Innovation and Entrepreneurship. That's coming up, gosh, is that this weekend? Spin 66 next weekend at the E-Factory. Register at Spin 66. How many of you guys have participated or are really aware of what Spin 66 is? Really cool program to have access to in this area. So check it out if you're interested in startup, entrepreneurship, that sort of thing. Database, Mastering iMovie class coming up. That's actually full, but they're getting ready to schedule another one. There is a web design using Squarespace class coming up, and I think there are 2 seats left in that one. So check that out. You can register at databasespringfield.com. And then the Real Estate Investors Group, they have their monthly meeting. The next one's April 21st. And then Note School, April 23rd, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., full day event there. And again, go check out more at the reinvestorgroup.com. This is cool. I really wasn't aware of this until I saw something come up on Facebook like yesterday. But the Springfield Creatives, which is an organization here in Springfield that really encourages the growth of the creative professionals in this area. They're doing what is called a studio crawl. So they're meeting downtown, and they're going to go to like different ad agencies and tour those agencies and kind of see how they operate. So I believe, is anybody here from Springfield Creatives? Nathan, is this just open to the public? Do you have to be a Springfield Creatives member? Cool. And if you're not a member and this is something that interests you at all, become a member. It's really affordable and a really cool group to have access to. All right, and then Sato 48. Man, these guys have really done an awesome job marketing this year. I will tell you what, they have some cool commercials out there. If you guys are interested in video, if you're interested in networking, this is a really cool organization. They presented at 1 Million Cups not too long ago. They have an upcoming event, the Moxie Screenings, so check those out. And then you guys can kind of see through here. One thing I wanted to point out, keep your eyes open for your opportunity to do some online voting for the Audience Favorite Award. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, be sure to check them out, sato48.com. And finally, if you guys have announcements you want us to put up here and talk to on Wednesday mornings, let us know. If you can get those to us by the previous Friday, that would be awesome. We have our email address up here somewhere that I should know. It's springfieldmo@1millioncups.com. So email those to us. We'll get the word out for you the best we can. And then also, if you guys are interested in presenting or know somebody who would be a good presenter, send them to 1millioncups.com. They can type in Springfield and then apply to present. We will get those applications and vet through those. And then I wanted to welcome a couple of guys here from Egypt. Where are you guys at? Raise your hand. They're here. They're in the back here. They're actually, they came all the way from Egypt to check out 1 Million Cups Springfield. I'm kidding. They're here visiting Missouri State, but we wanted to give them a warm welcome. Welcome to Springfield, guys. All right, and so our next presenters, this is a really cool resource that we have available to us as startups, as entrepreneurs, as people who want to grow Springfield in general. So we are lucky enough here to have our next 2 presenters with the city of Springfield to talk about a couple of programs that I'm excited for you guys to learn about.
Good morning. I'm Olivia Huff, and I'm a senior planner and the Brownfields coordinator for the city of Springfield. And we have Melissa Barton with us. She's the commercial loan officer for the city of Springfield. And we are hoping that as we share our incentive programs with you, that you may have a business or a client or a friend who could benefit from one of these programs and help us be successful in achieving our goals as well. Melissa's going to start by talking about the commercial loan program. I will be talking about our Brownfields program, and we have a couple of case studies to share with you where we have used each of these. Let Melissa talk.
The city's commercial loan program began in 1984 and was funded by a community development block grant. The purpose of our program is to work with businesses that will be creating jobs to benefit low to moderate income persons. Through our revolving fund, we've loaned out over $30 million, and our program has recently been made available citywide. The application process is similar to what you would experience if you were applying with a bank. We do require personal guarantees and collateral. Under our business development loan program, we can fund acquisition or redevelopment projects. The interest rates for acquisition loans are currently fixed at 2.63%, and redevelopment projects are fixed at 2.13%. We can offer a 20-year term on these loans. And the Hollywood Theaters is an example of a business that we worked with. A lot of times we will partner with banks and just fund a portion of a total project. Under our micro enterprise or business incentive loan program, we help new and existing businesses. The eligible items that we fund are furniture, fixtures, and equipment, working capital needs, merchandise, inventory. The interest rate is fixed at 5%. The first 2 years, you make interest-only payments, and years 3 through 12, interest and principal payments. Job creation is required with these loans, and there are a couple of examples of businesses that we've worked with. A typical loan under this program is $25,000, and that would obligate you to create one permanent full-time position. And now I'll turn it back over to Olivia to talk about our Brownfields program.
Yes, and I'll have a slide, the next slide up, that talks about the definition of a brownfield. But what we can offer through our Brownfields incentive program are Phase 1 environmental assessments, Phase 2 environmental assessments, cleanup planning. We provide direct technical assistance through our office at no charge. And we also have a loan program to help fund environmental remediation, and that can pay for environmental consultant fees, Department of Natural Resources oversight cost, actual site cleanup, and closure of the site, and even qualifying demolition. What is a brownfield? You know, we work in this realm all the time, but we realize that not everyone is acquainted with the definition of a brownfield. I think a lot of you probably think of, you know, the old factories or large industrial sites, you know, old mills. Here's a photo of an old rail yard in Springfield from the 1900s, old gas stations, that type of thing. But the EPA definition of a brownfield is listed here, and it really is a very broad definition. It's any property where the redevelopment may be compromised by either contamination or even the perception of contamination. You may have a brownfield site that had some historical uses on it. It may or may not be contaminated, but for whatever reason, you know, people may drive by it every day and say, you know, I don't know what's there. It may be in close proximity to one of these industrial sites. So it's a fairly broad definition. It may be contaminated by hazardous substance, petroleum, or other pollutant or contaminant. Phase 1s and Phase 2s, we can provide these at no charge. We do require an application be completed and submitted to the city to our Brownfields Committee for review. It has to meet certain criteria. It does have to meet the definition of a brownfield. And we can provide those free of charge. The Phase 1 is typically completed prior to a property transaction to assist with the due diligence procedures and provide some liability protection under the EPA CERCLA Superfund law, so that you're a bona fide prospective purchaser. A lot of times a bank will require a Phase 1 prior to purchase, and so brownfields is really a front-end kind of incentive to try to help move these properties that may have been stagnant or be compromised into the redevelopment phase. Now, the Phase 1 is historical background information. There's a photo here that shows an old Sanborn fire insurance map. Our environmental consultants will research records. They'll conduct a site visit, interviews with current and previous property owners. And what we're looking for in that report is recommendations on how to proceed. Are there any recognized environmental conditions? If not, the property is basically cleared to move forward with redevelopment or purchase. If there are some environmental issues that need to be investigated further, we can fund a phase 2 assessment. And the phase 2 involves subsurface investigation. So this is where you'll actually see a photo over here of a geoprobe preparing to take a soil sample. It can involve soil and groundwater testing, even building materials testing, such as lead and asbestos. Here's a photo showing testing of an oil drum. Here are some soil samples. So the testing is really to confirm whether contamination exists that would need to be addressed for your planned use. And our Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund began in 2008. So we provide loans both for petroleum and hazardous cleanups. Eligible activities we mentioned before, actual site remediation and other activities that take place with that in order to achieve your closure letter through the Department of Natural Resources, which is kind of like a pre-owned vehicle, getting your certified pre-owned vehicle type of a letter, but for a property, so that you have, your official documentation that says that you have completed what is required per the state regulations. Our interest rate schedule is listed here. Our program is also available citywide, just like Melissa's program. Like I said, it just has to meet the definition of a brownfield. Now, our loan process is very, very similar to Melissa's loan process and similar to an actual bank loan. And now, Melissa and I will give you an example of a couple projects, so maybe this will kind of spur your thought process on some things that may be applicable to you.
Cafe Cusco is located in the historic district on Commercial Street. It's a great restaurant that we have had the opportunity to work with over the past few years. In 2013, they came to us for a business incentive loan for the restaurant, and that was successful. And then in 2015, they opened Shabam Tea and Spice store, which is also located on Commercial Street. And we helped them with a business incentive loan on that store also. In 2016, we helped them with the purchase of the building that Cafe Cusco restaurant is in. And as part of that process, they also used our Brownfields assessment program. And through our program and their businesses, they have created 10 full-time positions and 12 part-time positions that have benefited low to moderate income persons. And now I'll turn it back over to Olivia.
Okay, and here's an example of Brownfields redevelopment in downtown Springfield. This was, it is a 36,000 square foot building. It was vacant for many years, compromised by the perceived contamination. A phase 1 and a phase 2 were completed and did identify some lead paint and asbestos that would need to be cleaned up. We worked with the property owner to provide a cleanup loan through our Brownfields program to abate the lead paint and asbestos. This project received a no further action letter through the Department of Natural Resources. They also used state Brownfields tax credits, commercial loan through Melissa's program for new windows. And the micro enterprise loan was used by their first floor tenant, the Vision Clinic and Optometrist Office. And this is a mixed use development now that is a great success story. It has 21 loft apartments, covered parking underneath the building, and post cleanup it leveraged $3.2 million. We can now turn it over to questions, but basically, those are a couple examples of our programs and how they often work together. We hope you get an idea of how it's not just one program, but it's kind of a layered approach. Often these have some private bank financing involved and possibly even other, tax incentives and things. So, yes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark. My great program. My question is Melissa, I think. Is there a ratio or job creation is required, which I understand, but is there a ratio of how much you lend and the number of jobs you have to create?
Yes, so the number of jobs required for each loan is directly related to the amount of money borrowed. For the first job, it's $25,000. So roughly, if you're borrowing $100,000, 3 permanent full-time positions.
Hello, good job, guys. I really appreciate you coming out today. Thank you very much. I like that 2.13% interest, but I was wondering if you guys have any grants, because 0% interest sounds a lot better.
Well, my program is 0 interest. So if you have a brownfields cleanup, a 5-year loan term, you can get 0 interest on that. But Melissa talked to the
But for
interest rate.
business loans, we don't have any grants.
Good morning, Michael Hansen. I heard a rumor that there's a brownfield over between Campbell and Main Street near Water Street. Is this true?
Are you referring to the large cleanup underway where you see the big white tent?
Yes.
It looks like a circus tent. Yes. And the circus is in town, but not there. Yes, that would meet the definition of a brownfield site. So that's a project that City Utilities is working to clean up a former manufactured gas plant. It's a great example of these legacy sites that at the time they were in operation in the late 1800s, early 1900s, were perfectly legal. They were doing things according to the practices at the time, but where they manufactured coal gas, through that coal gasification process, it created a byproduct of the coal tar, which was, remained on site and has been there for a very, very long time. And now it's being remediated, dealt with, and it's the same type of a process. The Department of Natural Resources providing technical oversight, environmental assessments led the way to really discover the full extent of the plume, and it's great to see that actually happening, the whole excavation, and it should be complete in May on that site. So, yeah, great question.
Good morning, Olivia. It's Audrey Gerard.
Hi, Audrey.
I have a question. When you're discussing creating a new job, say we're located in a different part of town and we're interested in moving into the downtown area, and you have 22 employees, are those all considered new jobs to that area because it's a blighted, or is it you add 1, add 2, add 3?
Right, so moving an existing business to a different location would still require new job creation. We couldn't count employees that are already with the company.
And I think we have a meeting with you on Tuesday.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said, I think we have a meeting with you on Tuesday.
I know. See you Tuesday at lunch. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one for you. So you decide you're going to go into a building, you're going to rehab it. It would scare me to death to think they're going to find out that this thing was painted with lead paint. They made pencils, they threw sludge in the back room. And then all of a sudden, you've inherited an impossible task of cleanup. What does that look like for you, and what are your experiences so far? How can you speak to that?
Sure, and that is a great question, and that's a concern, a lot of times the existing property owner has, and that's really what our program is for. Someone can have an assessment provided at basically no financial risk to them whenever we do this through our program, and it's often completed prior to purchase. So, if someone has a property under contract, they want to go through their due diligence process. If they find something there that maybe they don't really want to address, they know that early on. But even if they do, and most likely, in most cases they do, we find out that it is something that is not insurmountable, and really quantify what is there. With that phase 1, they have their liability protection, even if they purchase a property with contamination, because they've done their due diligence. Now, We estimate we have about 500 brownfields properties in Springfield. We've assessed roughly 250 of those. None of those have gone to any type of enforcement action. I mean, this program really is the carrot that DNR and EPA want to see, to get people to redevelop their properties. It's not for high-risk properties like Superfund sites. So we help people through the whole process to figure out what is the next step, and really find out what is there. And, we have some great success stories to share with that. Oftentimes, the cleanup is per the end use, so you may not even have to completely abate everything that's found. For example, if you're going to do offices, that's not necessarily the same as a daycare or single-family housing. You may be able to encapsulate some lead paint just by painting over it, or work on some controls like that where they would be cost-effective for the business and what your plans are.
Hi, my question is for Melissa about the Cafe Cusco example. So they now own their building through your loan program, is that correct?
Yes.
Are there any stipulations on rezoning or garnering income from things that don't create jobs, like if they wanted to rent out the space above for housing? So that doesn't necessarily create a job, but they do own the building.
Right, so they have met their job creation requirement. So if that does fit in the zoning requirements, they would be able to do that.
Would they have to rezone?
That's eligible,
no.
isn't it?
Where Cafe Cusco is in the Commercial Street Historic District is a mixed use. It's Center City zoning, so that mixed use is allowed. So you can have loft apartments on the upper floors and a commercial business on the lower floors. I think what you're asking is, if your loan is just for acquisition, do you still have to create jobs?
Correct.
And yes, you would, on that ratio of approximately
Right,
3 for every 100,000.
Right, and they have met their job creation. So we would hope that they would continue to keep that business there and keep those jobs.
That is one of the challenges of our program. We're looking for good applicants that create jobs. We're looking for good brownfields projects that, have a real great planned redevelopment. And a lot of times people will come and want to use one of our programs and they're going to only create housing. Well, housing doesn't create jobs. So you would have, you need to think about all of those kinds of things. That's why we thought this group, with new businesses and entrepreneurs, may be a good target market for our programs.
You had mentioned, oh, sorry, I jumped right in here. You had mentioned that you do it, the city of Springfield. Is that proper? Is that greater Springfield? Can you go into Christian County some? What does that look like?
Yes, our program is available for within the city limits of Springfield. So that's our geographic area. We used to have our programs concentrated more in the Center City area where our boundaries, that was our focus at the time. But as our programs have grown and we've seen more redevelopment in Center City and interest in other areas of Springfield, we've completed assessments on Kearney Street, Sunshine, anything within the city limits that would qualify as a brownfield. And let me state, that's pretty broad. Go ahead, and if you have any question in your mind, we'll look at it, because it could even just be a site that's near another site. It's not really for greenfields and always residential properties, but anything that's had some historical commercial or industrial uses would probably qualify. And for your program, Melissa, if it meets job creation.
Right, inside the city limits of Springfield.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Hi, Mark, again. I just want to be certain I understand completely. So it's 3 jobs for every $100,000, correct?
Approximately,
Okay.
yes.
How many of you are small business owners in the audience right now? How many of you were aware of the loan program that the city offers? So what is the benefit for entrepreneurs, like a small business owners or a new business owner, to go through you? And do you work in conjunction? Because we have a lot of bankers here. So do you work in conjunction with the banks as well?
Yes, we do. And sometimes we can do projects that a bank may not be able to do. Our purpose is to help businesses create jobs, whereas that may not be the bank's main priority.
Well, and to let you guys have a little bit of background, and I think we maybe skimmed over it a little bit, but the loan program is originally funded through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So they have a primary mission to benefit low and moderate income persons, create jobs, remove blight, those type of goals, and so those transfer to the goals of our programs. And our Brownfields program is funded through competitive EPA grants that the city receives. So EPA's goals are to move properties into redevelopment and identify environmental conditions and get those remedied. So the goals, like Melissa was saying, may be a little bit different than your traditional bank goal, which is more of a bottom line. We are looking for some of those community benefit projects that, you know, a few of them may be a little bit riskier loans, but we'd be willing to talk to you. And especially as you're expanding, growing, as some of you may be in a small space now, but like Audrey mentioned, if you're looking at expanding your business or purchasing a new property, and it's maybe something in the downtown area, you know, come to us because we'd like to help, you know, a business grow. That is definitely a goal, but we could do the assessment for you so you don't have that out-of-pocket expense as you have lots of other expenses we are very aware of whenever you're growing your business.
And something that may automatically disqualify you at a bank, something on your credit report or something like that, wouldn't automatically disqualify you through our program. We would look at your total project and try to help if we can.
So I'm curious from a kind of a business standpoint, or the business of your business standpoint, you guys run these programs. So what are your biggest challenges on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in achieving your goals? And then also along those lines, what are some of the things you guys do to market that these things exist in front of the right audiences? Obviously, this is one move there, but from a marketing standpoint, I would imagine that that's pretty important for the success of your programs.
Definitely, and like Melissa mentioned, our programs work hand in hand sometimes. So she may have an applicant come to her for a commercial business loan, but as part of that loan process, HUD requires this environmental review process, so they also use our Brownfields program. I think marketing really is our biggest challenge because we have kind of a core group of developers that understand our program and work with us and have for a long time, but getting it out to a broader audience, especially now that we're citywide, is one of our challenges. We are looking for good applicants, and that's why this is a great opportunity for us. We've talked to some other groups. We've talked to the American Institute of Architects. We'd like to talk to others, and really the challenge is finding applicants that are a good fit. It takes a certain person, like an entrepreneur, to really take on what some people might find a bit of a risk, whenever you're looking at a blighted property. And we hope to help people through that process. So anything else on that?
Some other challenges that we might face is that we can't make a loan unless there is job creation with your business. So, and you do have 2 years to be able to create that job. And it could be 2 part-time jobs that total 40 hours. So it doesn't have to be one full-time position. But that's sometimes a challenge.
And on the Brownfields loan side, we've had a little bit of a challenge. This is why we've recently revamped our program, and we decreased our interest rates, and we allowed for longer terms, because since we do have federally funded programs, they require prevailing wage on the portion of the project that we're funding. Sometimes that increased costs, sometimes it doesn't. But what we were hearing is just, since we are dealing with a federal program, it would be great if your interest rate could offset that additional burden, I guess. So that's why we offer such a low interest rate on our Brownfields program, because the cleanup contractors will need to be paid prevailing wage on the project, so we recognize that. And that's why Melissa's program, the interest rate was recently lowered as well, and it's a below market rate. So of course that wouldn't apply to a property acquisition, but for redevelopment, For the construction jobs, those would have to be prevailing wage. So.
My question was going to be about prevailing wage, so since I have the microphone, I'll just come up with a new question. I'm curious about the health and the longevity of the fund. So $30 million is a lot, and I understand that it's a revolving fund, but how much are you laying out at a time, and then have you had any unexpected circumstances?
Well, our loans vary, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for the micro enterprise loans, and it's all one pool of funds, so the two programs aren't separate. Up to, maybe $1 million or something if it fits.
So we don't have an actual limit on the amount we can fund. It's just basically limited by the funds we have available at the time and the project. We do require collateral.
And then, of course, the job creation for a large loan like that could.
Very good. I'd like to go back to the employment job creation scenario. Does that mean that a job must be created that is going to be subject as a payroll type position?
Yes.
That's unemployment and Social Security and all that. It can't be, say, independent contractors. We'll just pretend like you're making a beauty parlor or a tattoo parlor or something like that, see.
Right, so that is another challenge that we face is it does have to be an employee that receives a W-2 and not an independent
Not a
contractor.
1099, okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Yes, my name is Evelyn Lewis, and I teach at Evangel University. We've been helping our students to create some business plans for communities like Grand Beach. So are you familiar with the program that they're doing with the Fairbanks? And we're trying to help that community to create jobs. And this would be a great match, I think.
Our loan program?
Yes, the loan program for it's a startup business in the Fairbanks. They're starting some businesses in that area, and I wonder if you have made yourself available to to people like that.
Yes, definitely. I'd love to meet with them, and discuss our program and see how it fits.
And we did work with Amy Blansett to conduct the brownfields assessments on that property. So, and that's a great project. We're glad to see it moving forward. So, yeah, new tenants, new businesses might be a fit for the micro enterprise program.
Olivia and Melissa, thank you so much. We want to end every time with the same question. You've already heard it. As a community, what can we do for you? How can we help you?
Sure. If there's any bankers out there, if you have someone that you're working with and you need help funding a portion of the project, send them our way. Business owners, small businesses, contact us if you're interested in our loan program.
Yeah, tell your friends. And if you guys are interested, Melissa and I are happy to meet with you. If you've got a project that you just wonder, would this fit? Give us a call. You can find our other contact information and even applications for our Brownfields program on the city's website. We have our web address listed here, but we'd be happy to talk to any of you about a potential project. We meet with people that are just getting started all the time because Brownfields is usually on the front end, and we could even talk to you about other incentives that the city may have to offer. We have other folks here from our economic development team and city team that would be happy to meet with you as well and talk about our other financing programs. So we hope to see some of you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, for a fantastic presentation, and thank you all for coming for our Wednesday. And I'm always so excited to be at 1 Million Cups on Wednesday. Thank you also for the new visitors. We're so glad to see you. And just as a note, of course, we have our parking lot here. You can also park on the side street here. And please, the Art Museum has asked, please do not park in the grass. And so feel free to mingle. We have coffee in the lobby out. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Debbie, thank you so much for getting up there and sharing your story about Questledge this morning. Really good presentation and very genuine. You really shared a lot. So what I want to ask you, number one, is what feedback from the community did you receive today that you thought was particularly helpful, and how do you plan to implement that?
Thank you. I think the branding information that people have given me is very helpful in trying to get my business in people's top of mind, the top of their thoughts, that kind of thing. And just the fact that people liked what I was doing. They thought we were a clever business. So I thought that was good.
Thank you. And of course, we end every presentation with the question, what can we as a community do for you?
Come visit me. And we are at Highway 65 and CC on the northwest corner. But yeah, just the branding, the getting our name out, the sharing what we do. We're a new business. We're a new concept of business. So people aren't really familiar with what we do. So getting that information out.
Sounds like a great deal. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate it. Olivia and Melissa, thank you so much for presenting this morning. You guys did a wonderful job. I think everyone was really engaged by that. I thought the questions were good. Presentation was awesome. One of the questions I had, because I might, as a small business owner here, maybe I want to apply for one of those loans. How long would it take for me from, walking in the door to walking out with some cash to get approved for one of those?
Sure. Do you want me to take it? Okay. So for our micro enterprise or business incentive loan program, once you've turned in all of the required documents, it would probably take about 2 weeks for me to take it to loan committee and get approval, and then maybe another week at most to get the loan closed. For our business development loan program for acquisition or rehab, that process is going to take between 30 to 60 days, probably closer to 60 because of our environmental review process. And it requires an appraisal, and so that takes a while to get to.
That Brownfields project is pretty great. How you offer the stage 1 and stage 2 included. That's wonderful.
Yes, and on our assessment program, people always ask that when they first apply. For the phase 1, once we get the application, we can have that approved within a week, and it typically takes 15 working days to get the report on the phase 1. The phase 2 process can take additional time. It requires a sampling plan be developed and approved, and you want to plan on a few weeks for the phase 2. It can even sometimes take up to 2 months, depending on the extent and the size of the property.
I remodeled a old dry cleaners, and we made sure we did a good stage 2. So I'm familiar with that. Lastly, and we always ask everyone with this question to finish, what can we as a community do to help you?
Well, I would say on the brownfield side, if you're interested in a property, but you may be a little bit concerned with the previous uses on it, maybe you keep driving by it, it's being passed over, come to us because we can help you to perform the assessments risk-free, actually remove those environmental unknowns, find out what's there, and we really would like to see reinvestment in some of these properties. I mean, they're very often located where there's existing infrastructure, in close proximity to good transportation, and they may just be a diamond in the rough. So.
And for our loan program, just send us applicants. Refer your friends, just people who are looking for loans.
Well, I think it's definitely a win-win for the city and for small business that what you guys are doing. So thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. You're very welcome.